Anna Revenco, welcome to Conflict Zone.
Thank you for the invitation.
You said a few months ago that the country is extremely volatile. Is it still?
The situation in the region continues to be volatile because Russia continues to play with the security of the region, with the safety of the people, with democracy that we've been trying to build all here on the European continent for many years.
What do you think their aim is here in Moldova?
Is to regain the control, because that would give an extra competitive advantage in the blackmail they can exercise on Europe, but also to weaken the Ukraine's resistance.
Do you think they'll take it by force if they can't take it through hybrid warfare?
So far, Ukraine resists with all its force and will and the power, and that keeps the military aggression of Russia far away from us. But the scenarios that Russia has been using always in many parts of the world and in this region includes definitely a complete set of tools as part of the hybrid war to exercise pressure, to radicalize the population, and to use this radicalized population, including subversive agents, to provoke destabilization.
Is it working?
It has been quite successful for years. Since our independence, Russia has been always maintaining its control and presence here over Chisinau. That is why they're even more aggressive since the start of the aggression in Ukraine, in what regards the tension of this hybrid war and all the elements that they put into motion here in Moldova.
You talked about one of those hybrid elements the other day. You spoke about representatives of the defense and security sectors, public employees, getting letters containing threats and incitement to disobedience. What's that done to morale? That's
definitely the morale, the resilience, the unity that this scenario of Kremlin is being a target. Because that's exactly where the strength, the power and determination stays. Including these different citations or fake citations or fake letters meant to induce fear and to make people rethink whether they should serve or not their country.
Have you been threatened personally?
Many leaders of authorities have received this kind of so-called letters and citations.
Personally?
I've been also part of this so-called correspondence.
What did it say?
That I should mind about the actions.
That you should mind about elections?
The actions.
The actions? Meaning be careful?
Meaning be careful. Meaning whatever they want to deliver, but most important is that we all understand, they target the will, they target the determination, they target the unity of all our people, and they target the strength that we are building on a daily basis here in the Ministry of Internal Affairs. Because all the crises that have been launched and generated because of the Russian aggression is only making us stronger, more capable, more resistant, more knowledgeable, and more united. And that is why their hybrid war, and then in their scenarios, they are becoming even more persistent and aggressive.
So they were trying to unsettle you?
They are trying to unsettle many leaders.
Did they succeed
big
with
teams.
You? Were you unsettled by this?
I'm always by my country, and I'll always have the honor to serve my country and to serve the citizens and be with such a great team here in the Ministry of Interior that knows exactly how to act. Like I said, we are only becoming more knowledgeable and more resilient on a daily basis. This test is definitely making us much more stronger. And we are also not alone. We have strategic partners by us. We've learned how to better analyze the information, share the information, anticipate various scenarios, discourage various actions, intervene in order to prevent dangerous impact of various actions to produce losses of different kind, economic or moral or other losses here in our country.
In your scenario planning, what do you think would have to happen for Russian troops to come across your border and try to occupy Moldova?
Change the government here in Chisinau, because that's exactly what they've been using for years, is have a government under their control.
What would need to happen, do you think, and obviously you've played out various scenarios, what would need to happen for Russia to decide that they're coming across your border in force and will take control here in Moldova?
Moldova's decision to walk along the European values path and be a member of a democratic and free world, that's exactly already the reason why Russia is so aggressive here in this region. And they can, for now, do it if they manage to change the government by radicalizing the population. That would mean that they can put various scenarios in motion. That would mean that they can provoke Ukraine, including in opening the third front. That would mean that they could access the Black Sea through Danube and influence, including the trade, have different quite advantageous military positions. That means proximity with NATO troops and much, much, much more. That gives an extra power in negotiations with Brussels. And when I say Brussels, I mean all the capital of Europe. That means regaining control. And they don't need extra reason. The reason we've already provided is that Moldova is raising up and continues to stay determined in our decision and our will to build our future as we think we want to build our future, as belonged to a free and democratic world, which right now is the will for us to be part of the European Union.
So in your view, Russia could at any moment decide enough of the hybrid war, enough of the gentle tactics, it's time for the use of the army. Take the place over.
As long as Ukraine resists, it keeps far away Russia's military aggressive actions from the Republic of Moldova.
And if Ukraine loses, or loses large parts of its territory permanently?
So far, we all work together to support Ukraine in staying resistance, including the fact that here we continue to be united, all the authorities and the civil population. It's also a contribution to the security in the region. It's also a contribution for the Ukraine to stay focused and keep their power of resistance in defending their territory, because by this they also defend us.
And if they lose, you lose too?
We all lose, sir. Europe loses. It's not about the Republic of Moldova only.
Talk to me, if you will, about the case of the previous president, Igor Dodon. Over a year ago, your prosecutors leveled serious charges against him, including treason. He sat several months under house arrest before a court freed him. Why the delay in bringing him to trial? He says it's political persecution. He has a point, doesn't he?
Well, let's see. He was supported by Kremlin years in a row. He is a figure that has been openly preferred and supported by the Kremlin. And here in Chisinau, in the Republic of Moldova, he was a promoter of the Russian Federation's interests. He was feeding and supporting the oligarchs. He was doing businesses with them. He was directing the policies into the direction that facilitated and allowed stealing of billions from the people. That means draining the budget. That means impediments in implementation of important development programs that will only benefit the people.
You say that, but none of this has been proved in a court of law. He remains innocent until he's proved guilty, doesn't he?
Of course, of course.
So how long is this going to go on? These charges hanging over his head. Don't people have a right to timely justice? Timely?
For 30 years, here in the Republic of Moldova, we had only propaganda and infusion of feeling of incapacity and total dependence of Russia's will and Russia's policies. We have to learn once again to lead our country, and that means staying resilient on a daily basis. This is what we are doing right now. We are introducing corrections in all our systems and mechanisms. And yes, it takes time. And in parallel, we have to defend the country, besides putting in motions and correcting all the illegalities that have been introduced into our systems, including in the justice systems. But the determination of the people, of the Moldovans, continues to stay strong. And I'm absolutely confident that the justice will be made with regard to many figures that have been fakely and falsely represented Moldova's interest.
Are your prosecutors up to the job? Because there's been a lot of corruption in your justice system, hasn't there?
Exactly. And that's also for a reason, to make Moldova weak, to make Moldova always fall on the knees and rather seek once again the so-called support from only one so-called partner. But there was for years only one stable component in the relationship between Chisinau and Moscow, and that is the instability, distrust. Moldova has been continuously subject to abuse and aggression and blackmailing. We've been having periods that lasted years when Moldova had to so-called beg for forgiveness in order to be able to resist. But that was just a survival. That was not a development. That is exactly what we are all learning and building right now, the unity for resilience. And that means hard work on a daily basis.
How encouraged are you that so many European leaders decided to come here for the European Political Community Summit?
Well, after the independence, that's probably the most consolidated sign of trust. And we will fulfill that trust. Right now, it's a great honor, it's a pride, it's a responsibility taken at the highest level possible within the entire system of security and defense here in the country to provide safety for such an important event. And all the people understand how important is this event, how important this event in terms of opening the doors, in terms of fueling our determination in continuing our path, even though we all understand that there is a hard work along this path.
Anna Revenco, thank you very much.
Thank you.